poo, 500 grams. It smells kind of nutty.
Welcome to my channel, special guest. Oh, we love having you over here.
You said you were going to say local expert.
Oh yeah, sorry, local expert. I was adding up though, so this video is all about compost toilets. It's not my most glamorous video, and I know you come here for the glamour, I know you do, but it's helpful. In the last 5 years, we have made 8 compost toilets.
You should add up how many tons of topsoil we've made.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Can you do a quick calculation?
Each poo, 500 grams. Let's just say a kilo of poo a day from our family.
Okay, so
365, that's easy. So 365 kilograms a year.
Times 5.
Times 5, like 1,500 kilograms of
topsoil. That's so beautiful. So we actually do quite like talking about compost toilets because it involves lots of good stuff. And in this video,
1.5 tons
of topsoil. We're legends of our time making that much topsoil. So this is going to be super helpful because we're going to do a bit of a chat, but mostly we're going to show you the progression of compost toilets that we've got here. So like the last 3 toilets that we've made on our land. And we're going to show you like little features that we've added for each one, and we're also going to show you like the process of not the whole process but you know, like what we do like once we remove it and that kind of thing. We're going to tell you about that. We got here to the land, we put up our yurt. Actually, before we put up our yurt even, so for 3 months we literally had a hole in the ground and we had to go. You can see that in my first video coming up here. We had that while we lived in our little yurt and built this one, and then Tim built our little toilet. So we'll show that one now. It's called a bucket composting system. It's like a box and it's got a WEE diverter. WEE diverters are like the #1 important thing if you want a non-smelling compost toilet, would you say? Our local expert.
Non-smelling is a strong word.
Okay.
It's always going to smell a little bit. Toilets tend to. And they're either going to smell of chemicals or nature.
I like that.
Yeah. It doesn't have to smell awful, it just smells kind of nutty.
Depending on a few things.
Okay. So you've got to take the wee out. You don't want the wee and the poo to mix together, because the smelliest thing about human toilet stuff. Waste.
Well, waste isn't a good word because it's not waste.
Yeah, 1.5 tons.
Human gold.
Take the wee out. Anyway, that's the important thing, because the wee smells like...
It burns your nostril hairs. It burns them off. It goes really ammonic. Ammonia. It becomes ammonia. It becomes ammonia though.
Does it?
Oh, doesn't it?
I don't know.
Well, it smells. It's just got to put a WEE diverter on. We're going to show you. We use DIY WEE diverters. We're going to show you what we use.
DIY.
Coming up in a little while. So WEE diverters are really important. This toilet that you've got here, you have to go outside to open the hatch to take out the bucket, don't you?
This is on our big yurt. Get up in the morning, you're like, good morning. Oh, have a coffee, go outside, go out to the bathroom to the toilet, and then you look down, it's like, that needs to be emptied. And it's always the rainiest day. So
he has to go around, open a hatch and take out the bucket via the outside. So the next toilet we made, we removed that feature. So our next toilet is down in a little yurt, and our #1 goal for this one, because we were having lots of guests coming through our little yurt, we wanted it to be aesthetically pleasing. That was like one of our big aims, and I think if you look at it, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Well done.
Yeah.
You literally placed every single
native timber.
It's actually a really beautiful looking toilet.
Yeah,
and
in line with the rest of the decor in that bathroom.
So it's actually quite a good system to lift off the toilet seat, take the bucket out. The only downside, would you say, is like getting the pipe that the WEE goes down into the right hole. That can be a bit fiddly.
That's really hard. So then you've got, because you always got to get the WEE diverter has to go out of a pipe somehow, and if you're lifting the whole setup, that pipe has to be kind of non-attached, so it has to then go into another one.
So that's quite a fiddly process. Yeah, you don't, that's probably the downside of that, but it's very aesthetically pleasing.
It's aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah. Our latest evolution, which you developed really with Rowan, our next door neighbour, who is super expert on compost toilets. He should be in here as well, then I'd have 2 local experts.
Yeah.
But he kind of developed this system where, I'll just have to show you. We built 4 of these toilets. It's what we use for our camp when we run our camps with lots of people. You would have seen my latest video all about that. And these toilets have a very cool feature where when you wash your hands, you turn the tap on and it flushes out the WEE diverter. And it is so effective.
That's brilliant.
Because it really does clean out any leftover urine, so they're like the least smelly toilets ever. Yeah. Very permaculture, because it's like a double use for the water after you're washing your hands. An added feature of this one is that you access the bucket through a front hatch. How often do you empty the toilet, Tim?
Well, I try to empty the toilet every 4 or 5 days, just to keep it fresh. We don't want more than 2/3 of the bucket full, so it's non-complicated. You don't want a kind of overflowing number.
You don't want to be walking around with buckets of poo that are breaking your back and stumbling. That's not good.
You don't want that.
Also, we get a lot of guests in, don't we? So we have visitors, a stream of visitors all the time to our little yurt, our big yurt. And actually, those buckets get filled quite a lot. And I was estimating that you probably, between all the loos around here, you probably empty a toilet 3 times a week, I reckon.
40-hour job.
It's a good job you get
3 times a week. Yeah, that'd be about right,
good job you get paid a lot of money for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you empty it 3, which is quite a lot, and to be honest, you're kind of over it, eh?
Yes.
You are, eh?
Lucy loves these toilets.
I love a composting toilet. I honestly do.
Bucket composting toilet, and
I love the simplicity of it. I love that it's, you know.
Yeah.
But
it's for the people.
He's not into it. You're just over it. I mean, we've done it for 5 years. It's not like you're not into it. You're obviously into it enough. You've done it for 5 years, but now you kind of just hit this point where you're like, just a bit over it. We could go on to pros and cons because I've got a lot of pros.
And I've got a lot of cons.
So I reckon the pros are, it's really, really simple. So you could walk onto a fresh bit of land today and make your own bucket composting toilet within 1 day, just pretty much using this video. It's really simple, it's really easy, and I just basically love things that are really simple and accessible.
And a con to carry on that, like, is that you have to empty it every 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, so downside. Hey. Number 2, pro. It's very tangible sense of producing something that other people think is disgusting and gross, that is actually really, really helpful and amazing, that can go back into your land and produce something even more beautiful. So that's a big pro for me. No, what I like about it, this is a funny one for me to say because I don't really, it's hands-on. It's like you do your thing and it's there. It's unmistakably your byproduct, you know, and I really like it. Like with my menstrual cycle, I kind of like that it's that hands-on and my kids can potentially see what's coming out of my body. I really like that we have this very close relationship with all of the body's functions, and I kind of think that you do miss that with an average toilet.
Yeah. When you say hands-on,
yeah,
mostly your husband's hands.
Yeah, they're great hands. Look at these hands. Great hands. That's right, it's hands-on and it's pretty continuous, and this is another con.
Good feedback loops as well, you know, like if you're unwell.
Yeah, it's true. Me and my friend used to have this thing. We watched a documentary together about how your poos can give you lots of insight about your health, and this thing was, the documentary concluded that if your poos were floating, it meant they had a lot of good stuff, that you're having a really good diet and you were generally quite healthy. Yeah, floating. So we actually used to greet each other like, hey, how you going? Are your poos floating today? That was me and Jenna.
We'll never know whether our poos are floating.
But we'll never know. We'll have to come up with another kind of test. Watch for the documentary soon. Another con is that it's unusual for people. So I spoke about this in another video, but we have found that some people have fed back to us that they don't really like using a compost toilet. It's too much out of their comfort zone. And I think it's really hard for perhaps older family members to adjust to coming to visit us and using a compost toilet. And that does actually feel really sad. And here's another con. See, I'm coming up with a lot of cons. I do understand both sides to the compost toilet. I really do, because this is another con. You cannot let it slide. So if you wake up one morning and you can't be bothered and I can't be bothered, because I can empty the toilet and I do it, like especially the little yurt one. If we can't be bothered to do it, you don't just get past that day. Eh? Like, that would be a disaster. If we were both totally sick in bed, couldn't move our bodies, we still have to somehow get up and empty our loo if it needs emptying. Eh? Otherwise, I don't know.
We sometimes go to the little yurt.
Yeah.
Not when people are there.
No, we do have a few other toilets around the place we could start loading up, I suppose. But if you've only got one toilet on your place, you just have to keep on top of it. You don't get it past that day. So that's another con. Okay, now let's talk about the process. So you empty the loo, and then
Then I take it in a bucket up to an area that we've got set aside, a whole bunch of 90-litre rubbish bins, black rubbish bins. I cycle, and each bin takes about a month to fill up. So that's like 7 to 8 months of worm eating that poo.
we've got worms in there.
Yeah.
Especially for the job.
Yeah, and they love it.
Love that.
I mean, it's not my sort of idea of fun. But anyway, they love it. So they eat the poo and turn it into topsoil, because that's what worms do. Aren't worms wonderful?
We love worms.
Yeah. And then after that 8 months or 7 or 8 months of kind of in that big one, that we add other things too to make it an awesome rich compost. Then we go and dig a hole in a donut shape now, and we put the human manure around, because it's really beautiful stuff by the stage, doesn't smell, just as like pretty much topsoil, around in a ring around this where the tree is going to be, and then we plant a tree in the middle of it, and then the roots of that tree will grow out into that beautiful rich topsoil.
Yeah.
And produce lovely fruit for us, or just be a nice tree.
Just whatever. But
Yeah.
we use it, and it's so nice to just use it, eh?
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about a WEE diverter. We've come up with a system. Well, this was like a collaboration of an idea, and now you get a stainless steel bucket.
Yep.
And you take a third off the bottom of it.
The bottom of it. And then you shape that third, you cut that third in half, and then you shape it with an angle grinder so it fits perfectly snug against the side of the bucket like that. And that needs to take up sort of 1/3. And then there's a hole in the wall of the bucket where the WEE goes out of into a pipe and then is carried away, and that catches that.
Yeah.
The bigger the hole, the better, because actually you don't want that hole being filled up with sawdust or things like that.
And our first two loos, we've got the hole in the base of that bit, and then we have to have a kind of mesh thing over the top so it doesn't get blocked. But the third generation of toilet, it's now kind of on the front side of it,
Yeah.
on the edge, and so it
that
really gets blocked.
Yeah, but it never does actually.
Yeah.
But
never gets blocked.
But with that one, there's always a little bit of water left on the bottom, but it doesn't matter because that water is actually water.
We're flushing it, remember?
Yeah.
So cool. Okay, and another totally vital thing, so the WEE diverter is 100% vital, and the other 100% vital thing, because we have tested it, is a black chimney. We just simply put a hole in the back of the box and put an external chimney and then paint it black, and it works as an amazing self-perpetuating vacuum.
And it helps to dry out the poo.
For two of our toilets, we got chimneys from our local junk shop, hey? Like actual chimneys that you would usually use inside
Chimney
with your
flues,
fire.
yeah.
Sorry, a chimney flue.
They're metal things.
But then our third generation toilet, you just made a chimney.
It's made a chimney.
So you just bashed...
Got a bit of metal, folded it, because it doesn't have to be circular. It just needs to be a plane that gets heat on it. And we just bent a bit of metal and kind of sealed it up around the edges so that it only sucks air from the toilet cubicle, not just kind of like just creates a vacuum for nothing. And it's brilliant.
Yeah, and so that works so well. So we totally recommend those two things.
But then you've got to face that towards, or in the southern hemisphere, face that towards north, or in the northern hemisphere you'd have to face it towards south to get the most of the sun onto that chimney.
Isn't he great? Our local expert.
I used to be a geography teacher.
You did. Oh, I forgot to say that. We put a handful of mulch.
On top of the poo.
Or sawdust.
Yep, or sawdust. But if you get the wood shavings from a local sawmill, often they're a fragrant pine.
It smells good. At the moment we're using mulch from gorse that we've pulled out of our land, which is also really effective.
It's really rich in nitrogen.
Yeah, but it's a little bit less delicious smelling.
Pine.
Fragrance your toilet with fresh pine shavings. It's gone all over there. We're gonna sign off. Thank you for watching. You can keep in touch with me via my Patreon, patreon.com/Lulastic, or my Instagram account. There's 2 links below for that. We do lots of cool things on Patreon, like live streams and other really cool resources. Wherever you are in the world, thanks for watching, and
stay radical.